I'm getting clients that are more confused than ever because there's thousands of travel websites, different discounted websites. You should get down to the nitty-gritty. You should be on the ground of where your hotel is going to be.
What are owners doing in Hawaii to combat with OTAs and all the other fees? Margins are probably difficult.
I think it's a lot about working with the government and just making it make sense. Someone should greet the guests. I made sure that all of the people that I managed greeted every single guest that walked in. You better be able to still provide that level of service for a $700 room.
Today's guest is April Cheng, founder of Travel Chic World, joining us from Hawaii. With a background in hospitality, sales, and HR, April built her agency on exceptional service and relationship-driven travel planning. She specializes in designing personalized, milestone-driven travel experiences and is passionate about the human touch that elevates hospitality in an increasingly automated world. Thank you so much for joining us, April. Such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
We spoke about some amazing things in our initial pre-podcast conversation. And one of the things that really stood out for me was just how much you care about your customer's experience and how that's kind of like the customer service side of things is like a make it or break it in hospitality. Can you share with us your background and why you believe that is a core pillar to your business?
Of course, and thank you so much for having me because customer service is something I'm so passionate about and definitely how my business differentiates itself from the rest because of that personal touch and the customer service I provide. And how I got started was basically right out of college. I worked front desk for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And so really the front desk experience at a hotel gives you that positive and negative experience of what customer service is. You get guests that are either really, really happy or they're not very happy due to flight delays or any sort of travel issues that they had. And so that front desk position really gave me the tools to, and I still use that as what I succeed in now, which is personalized, customized service and giving that personal touch. But also it showed me how to be empathetic and listen to the guests and just the basics of empathy and compassion is what really I learned by being in front desk and how to problem solve basically. So once I did front desk, I then joined this Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii in account sales. So I sold business memberships for the chamber. And then after that, I was recruited by the Sullivan Family of Companies, which owns Food Land now, which is a huge grocery store chain in Hawaii, and they're local. And I always credit them to my customer service experience. I ran their C-store and retail division doing district management, HR. And so that also was all hospitality focused because we were located in hotels and all tourist areas. And so it really taught me how to train my people of how I expect or how the company, but as well as myself, expected for their guests to be treated, and then the experience that you give them when they walk into a store. And so after I was district manager for them, my dad just had an idea one day and he was like, just open a travel agency. He used to plan our travels when you were in high school and college, and it was really an inexpensive way, or it wasn't that expensive for me to purchase an agency and get started. And so the first 2 years was really me learning the basics of the travel industry, how it works, how to plan, but also what I wanted to specialize in with my brand, Travel Chic World, which we are all customer service based. That's our number one priority is our customer service, our clients, and then our community. So yeah, after those 2 years, I got started, but then COVID hit and lost all my sales because I worked on commission only and I wasn't charging service fees or anything like that. And so during COVID, I really just embraced that time to connect with my local community. So I got involved with the state chamber and then their small business advocacy program to help open up weddings and events in Hawaii because that's a billions of dollars that we bring in from weddings and events, and we had to get people back to work. But I also advocated for that smaller mom and pop side of, some of these COVID rules and policies that we had in place where it didn't make sense for these mom and pop business owners to be affording all this COVID protection material because they weren't bringing in business themselves. But then I got the wedding and events industry involved as well. And I was part of this great committee of business leaders and owners. And we just advocated to keep businesses open and how to also protect people to keep them safe during COVID. And then once COVID, started slowing down, then I started getting a ton of business because of my partnership with the weddings and events industry. And then we just kind of been on a increase from there, which has been great. But there's definitely been learning curves for me because I'm still a one-person business, but I partner with a travel industry management school here as well as Make-A-Wish Hawaii. So I give back to my community in that way. But now I have my social media admin person and she's great. And so learning on how I want to expand my business, hire more agents, but train them on customer service. One of the comparisons that we get a lot is between Costco travel and Amex travel. And those are great, but they're very volume focused, while my business is very personalized and you get that personal interaction. So, for example, one of my clients got their flights canceled going to New York because of the blizzards. And they actually had booked their own flights for the trip that I had planned them. And so they contacted me and said, April, our flights got canceled to New York. Like, we need help. We need to get rerouted so we can avoid the blizzard and avoid the weather conditions and still make it to Spain in time to enjoy their trip. They're retracing their ancestry. And so I was able to get their flights rebooked and get them direct flights from Hawaii to avoid the East Coast for the weather problems. And now they're all set and on their way to their trip. And that's one of the personalized, customized services that I provide. Or if somebody's like, April, the hotel messed up and our reservation is gone, I will be the one to directly contact the hotel and be the mediator between my clients and whatever services I book for them. So they know no matter what, there's always that personalized touch and there's someone they can go to in case anything goes wrong or happens during their trip.
Absolutely. I mean, like the through line is that you are kind of holding their hand throughout. And I think that that sounds like with all of the businesses and the roles that you've played throughout your career, that that was the through line with everything. And I'm curious to know, was there one or two specific challenges that you have come across in your career that taught you how to do things differently today and what customers want and where it's trending in terms of the customer experience and journey that they're craving?
Oh, yes, definitely in the travel space too now. I'm getting clients that are more confused than ever because there's thousands of travel websites, different discounted websites that they go on, and sometimes they've used them in the past and they're not reading through the fine print of cancellation policies or rebooking policies or penalties that they might incur. And so using me, they definitely avoid those things because I always tell them those things up front and they know what to expect up front. And then I'm walking them through the entire trip planning process but I'm basically doing all of the research and planning. So they tell me what they want to do, what they want to see, and we we edit it together. And it really is about forming that relationship with them. So not all people are going to be travel chic clients, but it really is about establishing a relationship. But one of the problems that I've had during my career journey in hospitality is really sort of knowing, I guess, the balance of when to stay firm, but also when to fold a little bit as well. And a lot of that is listening and giving empathy and compassion, and also just being genuine and sincere. Don't overpromise. That's always my number one tip is don't overpromise. And if you don't know, be honest about that. Hey, I don't know the answer to that right off the top of my head, but I will get the answer for you. I will solve it. I will get something so that we can resolve this issue. And then you never overpromise something that you're unsure about. And just honesty is the best policy. And a lot of people can see through if you're just faking it or if you're just making up answers as you go. And so one of the hurdles that I've had to overcome early on in my travel business was don't overpromise it. And if you don't know, just research it and let your clients know that too. And if you make mistakes, own your mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. We're human, but also with that process, if you do make any, you have any mishaps, you talk with your clients about that and then you just make it right. So it's really about just being sincere, honest, genuine, straightforward, but also knowing that the guest always has someone on their side to advocate for them. So that's huge with my agency is I'm always advocating for my clients.
I think that there's a lot of, definitely, like you mentioned, a lot of overwhelm because there's so many different options to choose from. How do guests know where to go? What makes a property stand out? What makes that one bookable versus another?
Well, definitely the customer service experience. So for me, I only book hotels that are 3 stars or higher, and they're only hotels that have vetted great reviews or I have personal experience with them. And so, but that guest experience when you first walk into a property is key. Someone should greet the guests when they come into a property and they walk into a property and welcome them and be friendly, smiles. That's hugely important. Even when I was a district manager, I made sure that all of the people that I managed greeted every single guest that walked in. Because these people are also the ones supporting your salary and letting you have a job. So treating them with respect and having a smile on your face instead of just looking down at your phone or talking to someone else and then ignoring them when they're in front of you. For a hotel property, that to me is just very unacceptable. And actually, for myself, right, when I stay at hotels, I really am quite picky about that. Every guest should be greeted, welcomed, and they should be appreciated because they're spending their hard earned money at your property. And so they should get that experience that they're paying for. Definitely. Especially if you're a 4.5 star, 5 star property.
Yeah.
You're charging big bucks for them to stay there. And so that's very important is to greet everyone, but also that empathy, compassion, and just listening.
I would say that that is very under the hood. Like you don't necessarily know that before you visit a property unless that's seen in the reviews. Is there something that would make a guest want to book at a specific hotel before even being there and saying, oh, this is good or it's not good? I know that you mentioned you like going to conferences and actually meeting vendors and hoteliers and all that good stuff so that you can get a feel for it and build those relationships. But aside from that, are there other aspects to what would draw a guest in to choose one property versus another?
It's all about how the hotel looks visually before you even walk into the property. So, cleanliness, right? When you walk in, the design, open spaces, or just really when I book guests at properties, I book them based off of their personalities. So if they're a boutique kind of funky guest that likes a certain, experience where the hotel has different design aesthetics and it's fun and it's very young, I'm gonna book them at like a hipper boutique-ish 4 to 5 star hotel. But when they walk in and they see it, they're like, yes, this is why I wanted to stay here, was because of these design aspects or the furniture, right? Furniture even plays a huge part before the guest experience. So when you walk in and you see what type of decor or furniture that the hotel has, that is a huge part of what I look for each client that I book is their personality. And some of them, are more classy, they're posh, they like more traditional spaces. And so all of that I'm taking in consideration other than the customer service is how the property is laid out. That's a huge one, the layout and the design of the property. If my clients don't like to walk very far from the lobby to their rooms, right? That's a huge consideration that I take. But I really look at what their personality is and what types of hotels they stayed in the past. And I look for the aesthetic, the design of that hotel, and making sure it's clean and up to date with standards
Yeah, it
for
really
sure.
makes a difference when a hotel goes the extra mile to give it, the property more personality. Because of just how many properties there are, it's hard to differentiate one from another. And so,
The little things too. So you being in design, and this is for your career, and you're helping hotels with decor, the design aspect of it. Little things too in a hotel room. For instance, if you can hide, plug in, but make it where it's part of the decor of the room, but it's still useful and practical at the same time. My clients love properties like that, where decor design meets practicality, and it's not where they're just going to trip over a decor piece because, the architect or designers haven't thought about those little things if people are going to trip or, But yeah, that's a huge part of it is the atmosphere. Atmosphere is so important. Atmosphere also with the design decor helps with your employees as well.
absolutely.
Because if an employee loves the space that they're coming in to work, their attitude of giving great customer service improves if they like and love where they're at.
Yeah, exactly. I had one project that has stood out for me forever where the receptionist came and gave me a huge hug. This was for like a lobby space. And at the end, and I was like taken aback. I'm like, why are you hugging me? Like, I love hugs, but why are you hugging me? And she said, I'm putting on makeup and getting dressed up, and I want to come to work every single day now.
Well, also, what you did too was what management should explain to their workers as well. The design, the experience, the aesthetic, why properties choose certain colors. All of the front-facing employees of that hotel or property should know why a hotel picked certain design aspects. That should be in the training sessions, right? Of what makes, for instance, Four Seasons with their logo. What does that logo mean? What does it stand for? What is the colors and the brand aesthetics that they focus on for that property? And they should all put that within the training because that also helps sell properties. And when your employees understand and know the background of your property and how it was designed and why it was designed, why the colors or why certain furniture pieces or the history of certain furniture pieces, that all helps with the whole customer guest experience. So, yes, I love that. And I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, which is one of my favorites. It's called The Holiday,
I don't.
and it's with Queen Latifah, but she basically travels to Europe, and the hotel that she walks into, it's a very historical vintage property, and she has to tell the front desk when she's staring up at one of the art pieces on the ceiling, she says, "Doesn't that ever just make you want to cry looking at that?" And then the front desk agent looks up and she's like, "Oh, yeah, I've never noticed that before." But you have to really make your employees appreciate the space that they're in order to help them do the best job. That helps them do the best job and to provide the best service, quite
Now I
honestly, if they like their atmosphere.
now I want to go watch that movie.
Yeah, it's so good. I love that movie. But that always stuck out to me because employees, they tend to also forget where they're working, right? And me being in Hawaii, especially, a lot of employees just, go into their everyday job and they forget where they're at or what work it took to put the property together, right? But that's a part that management can do a lot more training.
You make a really great point because, when it comes to salespeople, the way a salesperson performs and the better they perform is because they know their product so well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if the staff at a property are constantly selling and remarketing, they're remarketing, even if somebody's booked already and they're staying there, maybe they'll want to stay longer. They'll want to extend their vacation or they'll want to come back or they'll want to tell their friends. And so you're having to constantly remarket to that customer. And if you don't know, if the staff doesn't know the product, which is ultimately the design makes that product, the
Mm-hmm.
customer service makes that product. If they're not, for lack of a better word, indoctrinated
Mm-hmm.
by the core values of that property, then I think that it goes to say that they won't be as good at selling and reselling as
And
they.
also giving the guests the service too, right? And especially if that hotel property has several other locations, it's really about your hotel brand that each of your employees should sell. And then a lot of that has to do with the design, the aesthetic, the brand of what that hotel wants to convey to their guests. And yeah, absolutely agree. All of the front facing employees should, with the guests, even down to the valet or bell desk,
Yeah.
should know those things as well.
They should all feel like it's part of a purpose and a mission rather than anyone looking down at them for, whatever position or hierarchy, because there's not, where it's all team mentality and it starts from the top and those core values for everybody to feel like they're part of this family that's orchestrating that service.
Yes, and the better service you give, the longer longevity your career has. Quite honestly, people in the hotel industry who excel to the top of to be general managers or presidents or vice presidents of hotel chains, they have that experience, but the best ones who are in that position have experienced the lower levels of that service. So have experience in the bell desk or the valet or front desk. And so they actually know how difficult those jobs can be. And so they have that empathy and compassion as well with their employees.
Yeah.
But yeah, all about the design aesthetics, knowing the history of the property, why certain things are the way that it is in the property, and why it's laid out the way that it is so important.
When I'm designing a space, I really like going at every level within the property to speak to the staff to understand what
And that's why I loved when we talked, was because you do that. You actually go to the person that is there every single day that has to walk in and be customer or guest facing and find out what they think too. Because also, those people have valuable opinions because they're working at your property every day.
exactly.
So, what makes it work? And also, what makes them love to sell the brand, right? And what design you can incorporate or little touches or colors $5 or whatever. That's so important to ask.
And then they're surprised, like, you care about my opinion, right? And then they and then they feel a part of something bigger. And when it comes to, especially cleaning staff, when you go to clean a room, I need to understand in terms of how to set it up. How can I increase or decrease rather the turnover time so that they can clean faster and easier?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And that's why I was saying practicality with decor or the design makes so much sense. And yes, the cleaning service at hotels, those are important people to get their feedback on because they're the ones having to dust those little nooks and crannies that you might have done in a design.
Exactly.
And then yet you want it to be exceptionally clean. It needs to be doable for them as well. And all of those people are such a huge part of the guest experience. So going to people that you know interact with guests every day, which are the cleaning services, the front desk, the valet, the bell staff, those are the people you really should be getting opinions on if you're running a hotel because they're the ones doing it day to day. And the hotel employees that I come across that have been with hotels for, let's say, 10 plus years, it's because they have pride in what they do and in their property. And those are the people you should definitely be getting feedback from.
Absolutely. What are you seeing in terms of amenities that guests are wanting? Like, where is that trending, and what really sets one hotel apart from another in terms of those services?
In regards to property, one of the trends that I'm seeing is kitchens. Guests are wanting more condo type, apartment type style accommodations where they have a kitchen, a full fridge. They don't have to do room service all the time. But also, free breakfast is a huge benefit that cuts the cost down with travelers, as well as offering a resort credit, which is usually the majority of the properties that I book are properties that are 4 to 5 stars that provide free breakfast for two. And at a high-end property, that can rack up to more than 100 per day, and then a resort credit that they can use to apply to their bill at checkout. But kitchens, living rooms, type properties are ones that I'm seeing a huge increase in requests for.
What about the other amenities like spas and restaurants and all of those other things?
Oh, definitely spas and then good restaurants. And the restaurants are also a huge reflection of the hotel as well. So, many hotels sometimes they don't own the restaurants that are in their property, and that customer service with whatever restaurant that you're contracting, those employees should also be versed on your property as well. And of course, the restaurant, but they should be have background in the property as well of aesthetic design, all of that. But spa services is also really huge. Wellness resorts are huge now. Just people taking time to get relaxation. That's huge. And then those are all front facing.
I think that
Customer service people.
post-COVID, it really shifted. I think everybody kind of woke up to realize just how important health and well-being is, and how being locked inside was so, you know, difficult for mental well-being. And we saw the
Yes.
explosion of travel right after COVID.
Yes. And even now, I have a lot of requests where they want properties that have like a balcony or a Juliet balcony for that fresh air since COVID.
Wow.
Fresh air is also a huge thing that
Yeah.
I'm seeing.
That's amazing. In terms of being in Hawaii and how that has impacted, I mean, that is a central part to travel and where people love going. How has that shaped your experience and how you service guests? And I'm also curious if you can talk more about the milestone-driven experiences that you provide too.
Yeah, so, well, basically, having worked in the hospitality industry in Hawaii, a huge part of Hawaii is the aloha spirit. And that was ingrained in me when I did front front desk. It was ingrained in me when I did district management and HR for Sullivan, which is the local grocery store chain here, Foodland. And that experience alone is what separates us from any other place, is that aloha spirit. There's no other place you can go to where they say aloha, mahalo, right? Mahalo nui loa, and then also educate the travelers on the history of Hawaii and what we stand for. But really just being welcoming, that is what the aloha spirit is being welcoming and accepting of people from anywhere that you're traveling from. And that's huge. Milestone wise, what's helped with my business is when I did COVID and I did the wedding and event planning industry, they would refer me their wedding couples and I would do their room blocks for them when they would do their weddings in Hawaii or events. And then after they'd use me for their wedding, they loved working with me so much because of the personalized service I would give them. So then I would do them their baby moons, right? After they get married, their honeymoons, baby moons. And then now I'm doing their family trips and seeing that they are starting to have kids. And I get to go on that journey with my clients. And that's the personalization of what I provide is I become part of like your realtor, right? Or your
Family.
insurance agent, your dentist, your doctor. I can really stay in touch with people where I touch them throughout their family building or their businesses building, right? And I plan their trips. It's like a lifetime relationship, basically. And I really value that with my clientele.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that you do that. You're pretty much a part of the family at that point.
Yes. I mean, it's so, I love it when I get to see, fam, and they start to have babies, and then I get to plan their family trips, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, he's that old now? I remember when I was just doing your wedding and your honeymoon. But yeah, it's such a blessing, and it's something that I don't take for granted whatsoever. And that's one of the things I think that thrives from my business is because I don't take those relationships for granted and I try to do my best for them and do right by them.
That's amazing. Can you leave us off with tips for travelers, but also for any hotel owners or investors that are listening to the podcast, if they're looking to start a hotel and to create this kind of guest-centric location that will attract and stand apart from all the noise out there?
So for travelers, plan definitely. If the more advanced planning you do, the better it'll be for your trip. So planning ahead is great for traveling, especially in this day and age. For hoteliers or potential hotel investors, you should get down to the nitty gritty. You should be on the ground of where your hotel is going to be. You should be walking blocks around the space. You should be getting to know the neighborhood, the people who live there, especially the people that live there, their ideas, what they love about living there, and then what also sets whatever property or destination that you're looking at to build a hotel or invest in. Why those people who live there, why they live there, and what are the benefits of it. And also, too, getting their opinions of if there is a hotel that is built here, right? What are the pros and cons that that might bring to you as a resident of that location? I think people who live in the areas should also have a huge say in, how the property is designed or basically how residents can coincide with tourists, right? The tourism industry. So that's a huge thing in Hawaii and it's something that hoteliers should also look at. And then the design aspect of what you can incorporate in that location that is true to that area, that represents that area of where you're building or opening up to.
I think it's very important to understand the market and who you're going to be providing the guest experience for. And ultimately, to your point, also, what are those things, right, that are going to create that experience that the traveler wants, that the guest wants, and building your property around that and being very, very intentional because that is what's going to pull people forward.
And talk to the business owners too, the locals that live and breathe there every day, and the mom and pop owners, right? But I think hotel executives or property developers, that's a huge thing of what they should do is they should really be talking with the neighborhood and the people who actually live there before they even start on
Like you said,
right,
planning.
doing a concept or anything.
Planning is everything. I have 4 steps before we even start on the design, and they're all planning, understanding what are the revenue drivers, right? Before we start looking at colors and mood boards and layouts and all of that, we do an assessment, multi-layered assessment to figure out how to set up the property for the highest revenue potential, right? And that's the same thing with
Yes.
planning for anything, whether it's, your vacation or, how to design a hotel. It's all in the execution and the strict planning that happens before that.
Yes. But also to making sure that what you're providing matches what with what you're charging too, right? And right now, Hawaii, unfortunately, we have so many taxes on our tourism industry that our tourism industry has been decreasing because of those taxes. So you have, general excise tax, and then we have a transient accommodation tax, and then you have these other taxes on top of that. And that rate of what the taxes are compared with the property that somebody might be staying at, the taxes can be probably like 1/3 of the cost in addition of their hotel rate.
Wow.
And if a guest is spending, let's say, $500 with a room, that's what the going rate is. But then the room rate ends up being $700 because of taxes included with that. You better be able to still provide that level of service for a $700 room,
Yeah.
right? That they're paying for. And just valuing that people are spending their money to get away, to have a vacation and enjoy their time, whatever, that's very active or leisurely vacation styles. That all is a huge factor too. But it all comes down to customer service, design, aesthetic, how the environment is, and then your workers wanting to go there too and looking forward. Or even, I meet with so many hotels and I talk with their front desk staff or their concierge, and they'll tell me the favorite parts of what they love seeing every day when they walk into their property.
Wow.
Like, this corner of the hotel is my favorite space to go to and pass by every day because it just makes me happy because of the colors or because I love this particular decor because this is what it means and they understand what it stands for. But yeah, those all contribute because they all tell the guests about that as well, what they like.
What are owners doing in Hawaii to combat? Like, I'm sure already as it is with OTAs and all the other fees, margins are probably difficult. What are hotels and the tourism industry doing to combat that?
I would like to say we're doing more. I think it's a lot about working with the government and the legislatures on those taxes and just making it make sense. But that has been a struggle. I've seen it with a lot of travel advocacy groups here. That's been a struggle to communicate with the government and how it's sad, but we rely on tourism in Hawaii. I don't want to say it that sad, but if you rely on tourism, you have to be able to provide that service that people want to spend their money on, and then it has to make sense for how they spend their money. So I think that's what we probably could improve on is just a lot more communication between us and our legislatures and representatives on what these taxes are doing to the economy, and also the local workers that work in the tourism industry too, because they depend on that for their survival.
April, if our audience wants to learn how to get in touch with you, how can they do so?
Oh, you can email requests, requests, at travelchicworld.com, and then check out travelchicworld.com as well as our website and then our Instagram, and we're doing TikToks now. But we plan all around the world. So even our honeymooners that we have that come here, a lot of them are from the mainland, and now they're my forever clients as well. So we just don't do Hawaii, but we do everywhere. And we also want locals to get out and experience the rest of the world, right? Paradise can only get you so much of an experience.
Amazing. I will have to come at some point and give you a hug in person.
Yes, I will plan your trip and show you an amazing time with your kids and your husband. Yes,
Amazing.
love that.
Thank you for all your wisdom and insights on the, you gave us the shortcut to how to attract guests, travelers, and create a one-of-a-kind experience. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you so much.